Hey, what up? Welcome in. Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio, and let's welcome him in. He's the sage of basketball wisdom. Of course, he's covered it for years and now does so for Fox Sports 1 and FoxSports.com. He's the one and only Ric Bucher. Buch, boy, there's a lot to get to.
Yeah.
Can I actually start in Atlanta?
It's your show, Doug. I'm just here living in your podcast.
Stop it. Stop it. Anyway, last night as the Hawks end up losing and end up losing to the Celtics. So there's going to be one more game played this year because they did win Game 3, so it's a gentleman's sweep, which is coming.
Right.
But as much as Trae Young has become, everyone's talking about Trae Young, and will they trade Trae Young? Can you win with Trae Young? He has 35 and 15. And DeJounte Murray goes and steps up and clearly let it be known he was not happy with the officiating, but did so in a way in which he's got to be suspended. Like, what is the energy behind that? That is not a good look.
Well, it's one of the reasons. This is always the cautionary tale when the San Antonio Spurs move on from a young talent. You should pay attention to why they're moving on. I don't know how many guys have left the Spurs and gone someplace else. Obviously, Kawhi went to Toronto and won a championship, but you could look at everything that's in totality in what's happened with Kawhi and question whether that's a good investment. Same thing with DeJounte in moving on. And we've heard, look, things generally don't get out in San Antonio, but there was enough rumblings about the lack of maturity and some of the things that he said after leaving that raised some eyebrows. So it's just kind of who he is. Is he a great talent? Yeah, extremely talented. But I get where you're coming from in terms of if you're going to keep one or the other, or you're going to look at who's the real problem. Look, I don't think you can build around Trae Young for where they want to go, but I also don't believe that DeJounte Murray is you're going to build around him either. That's what they're really missing. They have a lot of different pieces that are talented, but you could tell me, like, who's at your core? Who do you look at and say, this is a must-have piece in building a title-contending team? I don't think the Hawks have any.
Tend to agree with you. And the officiating piece of it is, it's like there's always been an element of complaining, but we get to a point where you're like, all right, you're making it impossible for guys to do their job. On the other hand, then you have the officiating component with Dillon Brooks. And I don't know how you feel about it, and I've had people disagree with me, but I can't imagine a scenario where he was going for a nut shot there, trying to steal a basketball when LeBron goes behind his back. There's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, he's reaching for the ball. And we can debate whether Harden's shot was Royce O'Neal, I think he got. I think in both cases, both guys played up the hit. I thought Royce O'Neal played up the hit. I'm not even sure that I thought he got hit in the lower abdomen. That was a little high for a nut shot.
Sure.
I think LeBron stayed down until he knew that he knew what he was doing. Like, the longer I stay down, Dillon is already the villain, the more this is going to look like Dillon escalated it. I just didn't see that. And I take issue kind of with both. Harden's defense that it was a basketball move, I agree with that. And I think that Dillon's was too. We've become, the referees have run into this this predicament now where they're adjudicating intent. I always got the impression that no matter what it looked like, that they weren't supposed to adjudicate that. And if it was a dangerous play, it's a dangerous play. But in both of these cases, I thought it was a massive overreaction. Now, all that said, Dillon and the Grizzlies not being aware that this was the first home playoff game in 10 years where the Lakers were able to have a full arena, and not anticipating that crowd was going to be bloodthirsty as is, and now you're only going to add to it by playing the bad guy coming in, was just not smart. And then they did nothing to try to tamp down the emotions the way the game started. They got caught up playing as fast and frenetic as the Lakers were. So I don't have any sympathy for Dillon, but if you're asking me, do I think that it was an appropriate call in terms of ejecting him? No, I do not.
I tend to agree with you. Ja did get it going, you know?
No, I'm sorry. I thought, okay, so why? Like, what was the point of that?
What was the point of Ja getting it going?
What was the point of Ja making a one-man assault in the fourth quarter of a game where, for me, what they really needed to figure out is Ja coming back, how are they going to integrate Ja and everybody else? How are they going to get everybody else going? How are they going to play a composed game?
Well, okay, so listen, that's fair, but listen, let me give you a perspective, because I was there, so, and that's not a humble brag. It's more when you're watching on TV, you can flip over or get distracted and miss some stuff. I thought one of the issues was in the first quarter, like you said, they were playing too frenetic, but he was clearly trying to be Tyus Jones and get everybody involved, right? Yeah. And those other guys, especially Dillon Brooks, he kept firing and missing, right? And I felt like he was really the only guy who was up to the challenge offensively of maintaining some level of composure, and Dillon Brooks was not, and he didn't get enough. And what changed was in the fourth quarter, they played him and Tyus Jones together to start the fourth quarter, and that changed their matchups. The Lakers don't match up well against small ball, right? I mean, obviously not having Brandon Clark changes them dramatically. Yep. And I think he just kind of got to go. Like, look, he was attacking all night, but he starts hitting jump shots, and now he becomes unguardable. The game actually, there was a part in the third quarter where it got to 13, and it was a little in doubt, and they didn't box out, and they kept cutting it and feeling like it was going to be a game. They could never get it under 10 in the third quarter. But I did think they found some things. So to answer your question of why I don't think their intent was to play him that much, but just to get him going. But now he had it rolling. Now you're like, all right, let's play it out. And it got a little dicey there for the Lakers.
Yeah. No. Without question. I mean, and it was more third quarter, actually fourth quarter. The Lakers looked a little uneasy about how they came back at him. For the way the game started, I would have, if you're utilizing the fourth quarter, let me just start. Let's start here. Like, he got 45, he got it going. Big scoring nights in games that are lost just don't do a whole lot for me.
It's totally fair. My pushback would be like, what's the alternative, right? That you need guys to be confident. And right now they're struggling. Like, Dillon Brooks is not confident because, like you said, like, I don't think he knew what he was getting into, talking ish to LeBron before the first true home game for the Lakers in the playoffs in a decade, right? Like, I don't think he understood. He didn't understand, nor did he care to understand the dynamic at play there.
Yeah.
And
you know what? And that's okay for him. But this is my issue with the Grizzlies organization. Like, they're young top to bottom. Their GM been in the job for 8 years, but really Zach Kleiman doesn't have a whole lot of NBA experience. Taylor Jenkins is a young coach. Like, they don't have any veterans in that locker room other than Steven Adams, who's out of commission. they're young across the board. So they don't have anybody who has the ability to say, hey, this is not the way we should be approaching this series. And I kind of feel the same with what Ja going off in the fourth quarter was about, which is, he's got it going. We'll just let him go.
Yeah.
I don't know how much him getting off or going off in the fourth quarter changes the dynamic of this next game. I may be proved wrong, but if he comes out the same way, I don't think that helps the Grizzlies win the game.
Okay, let me ask you about Warriors Kings. Okay, kind of on brand. Warriors incredible at home, right? They struggled on the road, although they had a shot to win, real shot to win Game 1. What do you think of the series now?
I'm watching the Kings grow up in real time, and I'm watching Steve Kerr have to make more adjustments earlier in the playoffs than I've ever seen him have to make, and having to ratchet down to, I'm just going to play my veterans. I'm just going to play my known guys. Kuminga played 3 minutes. It was an awful 3 minutes. Moses Moody I don't think was bad, but he didn't go back to him after the first quarter. I would suspect that he's going to ride with Dante DiVincenzo and all of his veteran players and play them heavy minutes, particularly in this next game. I would not be surprised if Jordan Poole sees his minutes get cut because he was very, very up and down. The only question that I have is, are the Kings ready to take that next step? I thought they showed a lot of poise in their second game in the Warriors building. Keegan Murray is coming alive. He was a non-factor the first 3 games, and he was a huge part of why they were so good during the regular season. That would be worrisome for me. But you still have De'Aaron Fox has never closed out a series. This next game, they've had 2 opportunities to really put the Warriors at a huge disadvantage, Game 3 or winning Game 4, and they weren't able to do it. I still need to see the Kings be able to take that last step, and so I'm still buying that the Warriors, there's not a situation that's going to faze them, and they've already faced a lot of adversity by their own hand and overcome it. And the Kings have yet to face any sort of adversity. So I'm still leaning Warriors, but I've been incredibly impressed. I thought this was going to be a tougher series than people advertised it, but the Kings have been even better than I thought.
Ric Bucher, Fox Sports 1 and FoxSports.com. Bucher, the best. Thanks so much.
You got it, Doug.